Okay, so today I'm going to talk about another song, and this one, I don't know, it's kind of a fun song, or maybe it's not a fun song. Um, I remember hearing this, like, this is probably one of the earliest times when I listened to a country music song, and what really captured my attention was like the guitar playing, especially at the end of the song. Um, and I would say it's interesting because it's not of a style that's like prototypically country. It's very modern. It's sort of like, my thinking was like these are some licks and things that like I could very easily incorporate into a contemporary worship music kind of setting, but they were well played. They evoke emotional response and things like that. So got hooked by the guitar playing, and then listened to the song and thought that's a pretty good song, and pretty pretty interesting. After listening to Jordan Peterson for so long, and kind of there's so much of this like manosphere stuff, and obviously relationships are such a huge aspect of life in general, but in most forms of music, this is probably one of the areas where there's a lot of commonality between pop music and rock music and country music is songs about men and women, but there is probably more emotional honesty in a country music song, and I think that this there's kind of an interesting story arc to this. That's kind. It's really enhanced by the music video, which I cannot play because that will get blocked. But I think I'm going to show some screenshots of it. Okay, so let's start here by listening to a little of the song.
I woke up early this morning around 4 a.m. with the moon shining bright as headlights on the interstate. I pulled the covers over my head and tried to catch some sleep. The thoughts of us kept keeping me awake.
Okay, so you woke up early this morning around 4 a.m. Now, there's only one reason why you're awake at 4 a.m., and it's going to be something to do with a woman. Either you are getting up at that time because you're depressed by this guy, or because you are trying to keep your woman and you have to get up early and go to work, which is what I do every day. So, but otherwise, a happy-go-lucky bachelor will rarely be awake at 4 a.m. Or at least they won't be waking up. They may be staying up, but they won't be waking up. So, moon shining bright as headlights on the interstate. It's kind of a you know it's a little metaphor. It could go either way. Is it just the moon and there's headlights? I don't know, but he's trying to cover his head, trying to catch some more sleep, but the thoughts are keeping him awake. Now, let me see here. So we go like to show the images here. So what we see in this image is he's all depressed and he's in this house by himself, and he's just moping around, and then kind of everything is shown through like mirrors in this video. We'll go back to playing the song.
And ever since you found yourself in someone else's arms, I've been.
Well, so that's why he's up at 4 a.m. because she's found herself in someone else's arms. She just found herself there. I don't know. It's a convenient thing. It seems to happen sometimes in this day and age that you know how to say, I know somebody who went through something like that where their girlfriend was very not understanding why he would want like an exclusive right on their relationship because she started having feelings for one of his friends who was conveniently hanging out all the time when my friend went to work, and she thought that if her boyfriend cared about her, he should be happy for her to explore those feelings and see where it goes. But yeah, that is against the nature of a normal man, and so that doesn't usually work out.
Been trying my best to get along, but that's okay. There's nothing left to say, but
so trying to best get along, it's okay. Hey, there's nothing left to say. There's no point, you know. If your woman finds herself in someone else's arms, that's kind of a deal breaker, and that's the way it goes. So we'll go back to the visuals here. We're exactly where we are within the song, but so you can see like he's looking at himself in this mirror, and every time he looks in a mirror, he catches some glance of like, oh, a memory, like where they were all together, and she's wearing his looks like a Notre Dame sweatshirt or whatever, which is a featured part of the chorus here. So go back to playing the song.
take your records, take your freedom, take your.
And so this is a funny. It's kind of, I don't know how to say funny. It's like, so he's pairing these things of like, take your records. That's a material object. Take your records. I don't need them. Or he'll say that in a second. Take your freedom. That's the thing where she's not saying give me my records. He's saying take your records. But the freedom, that's what she's obviously demanding. I need my freedom. So the contrast there, the comparison between these things, and then
Memories I don't need. Take your freedom, take your memories I don't need.
That's where he's saying take your memories. I don't need them. This is what's keeping him awake. Thoughts of you kept keeping me awake. So I take these memories away. I don't need them. I don't need these memories.
Take your space and all your reasons.
Ooh, so take your space and all your reasons. Space is the reason, This is just such. This almost does border on the cliche, but, honestly, people were there. So it is interesting in that Malcolm Gladwell podcast about country music. He says that rock and roll resorts to cliches because they're general. Whereas country music is all about the specificity, the particular details. So this is an interesting thing because when you bring up a cliche, that's a cliche of a woman breaking up with a man. I need my space. Like, why do you give somebody a cliche? Because you can't be specific. And so, what are they? They're reasons. Take your space, take your reasons. These are just reasons. They're not realities. They are reasons that you have. Because the real reason was, this is ever since you found yourself in someone else's arms.
You'll thank me.
You'll think of me. So that's obviously the title of the song, but that's what he's saying. You'll think of me, and as it gets, and he's singing this with doubt here in the beginning of the song. Like, you'll think of me. It's just like you'll be sorry. You'll be back. It's a retort. It's hollow. It's empty. Much like the house in which he resides, which used to be occupied. And if you look back at, what it's showing, like it's just this barren house. There's no decor. The floors are bare. There's no, and you can see that throughout the video. It's it's a place devoid of comforts and the presence of a life. Um, so you'll think of me, but there's nothing there.
And take your cat and leave my sweater, 'cause we've got nothing left to weather.
Take your cat. So, this lady came with a cat. She probably a pre-existing cat already. This is an indication that she has, a substitute companion. It's not quite. It's not a baby. It's not a pre. It's something that you have to comfort you when you are alone. And then he says, "Leave my sweater." So the Notre Dame sweater, presumably featured in the video here. He's saying, "Leave that. I don't want you to keep that. I want to have that." Where is it? Leave the sweater because we have nothing left to weather. So that's just what a great pun, because he's saying, like, you don't need a sweater because of the weather. That's why you need a sweater, because the weather's cold. But, metaphorically, as a couple, our relationship has nothing left to weather. It's over, So give me the sweater back. He may want to weather another relationship, and then he'll need the sweater. So just great stuff there.
In fact, I feel a whole lot better. But you'll think of me, you think of me.
So as the chorus ends, in fact, I'll feel a whole lot better, but you'll think of me. But it kind of rings hollow, because it's like, it's just reactivity. You'll be sorry, you'll be thinking of me.
When I'm driving, trying to clear my head and try to sweep out all the rooms that my emotions left. I guess I'm feeling just a little tired of this. All the baggage that seems to still exist.
All right, so it's kind of said a lot there. Went out driving. Try to clear my head. I tried to sweep out all the ruins that my emotions left. I guess I'm feeling just a little tired of this and all the baggage that seems to still exist. And so, of course, as as this baggage is he's talking about, we see continued images, like he goes into the bathroom and he sees in the mirror and he has these memories, and it's of an amorous nature. This is it. It really connects to maybe the domicile imagery of the house, that there's memories and connected to place, and if the place is the same but the person's not there, is it really home? And probably not. And then, like, I don't remember exactly where this one is, but he's having all these memories, like, this is kind of showing. She's putting the tie on him, like she knows all about getting dressed up and going out and being fancy, and he's kind of like, what do I do with this thing? It's giving us hints through the visual. I don't know. Say, is this canonical to the story of the song? I don't know. Is this what the songwriter had in mind? I'm not sure, but the imagery that it paints is kind of interesting. Because it's like. This is obviously a formative experience to him. I think we could take this just in the way that this is what happens when you go along with the flow of what culture says relationships are supposed to be, and all these things. Like, people kind of make fast and loose with commitment if somebody's living together, but they don't have the commitment of marriage behind it. Like, that's a very serious thing, because what you're doing is you're building all these memories and these attachments, but at the same time, you're maintaining this agreement that basically anybody's free to go at any time. And that's where you kind of get this the law of least interest, wherein the person who's the least interested has all the power in the relationship, because it's up to the person who's more interested to keep the person who's less interested. And if their interest wanes, if they are no longer enjoying whatever it was that brought them into the relationship, they're free to go. This is like the hellscape of modern relationships that should be avoided if you can. But but this kind of like way it's showing like she's the one that kind of knows what's going on, and and there's this kind of it's not necessarily to imply that like the woman is more experienced than the man, but more so just that women tend to think about these things from an earlier on time, and it's only when the man decides he's interested in having a relationship with women that he begins to consider these things. So women do tend to have a civilizing effect on men. He's the sweatshirt guy or whatever, and she's wearing the sweater because it's like a substitute for a ring or something. It's a sign of ownership, if you will. I wouldn't say ownership, but connectedness. But then as things progress and they're going somewhere, getting dressed up all fancy or whatever, and she's kind of showing him the way, helping him to figure out what he's doing. So so he's talking about all this. He's driving, trying to clear his head, sweep out the ruins, and the baggage that still seems to exist. So that baggage is obviously tied to places and things, which is what they talked about in the chorus a lot more. And then it's the last little bit he says here.
It seems the only blessing I have left to my name is not knowing what we could have been, what we should have been.
So he's saying the only blessing I have left to my name is not knowing what we could have been, what we should have been. So really, what that's implying is that basically she's had the upper hand in this relationship the whole time because he's along for the ride, and he wasn't the one building expectations. He didn't have a vision for the relationship. And so he's like, I don't know what we could have been. I don't know if she hadn't found herself in someone else's arms, could we have been married? Could we have had children, built a life together? All these things. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what they could have been or should have been had she just happened to find herself in someone else's arms. And he considers this a blessing because, of course, what's worse than this is when people do make promises and commitments, and then you build your whole life and your plans for your life together, and then something happens, somebody leaves, or something tragic happens, and then you have built expectation that will not be fulfilled. So in a sense, he's kept it low profile, low commitment, but that really shows that she's had the upper hand this whole time. And then we have a repeat of the chorus.
Take your records, take your freedom, take your memories, I don't need them. Take your space and all your reasons, but you'll think of me. And take your cap and leave my sweater, 'cause we've got nothing left to weather. In fact, I feel a whole lot better, but you'll think of me, you think of me.
So now we're gonna come into another part of the song. So everything up to this point is, it's the same thing. He's out by himself. He's leaving the house, driving around, or he's wandering around in all these empty places. And then the interesting thing here when we get to this part is a change. It's the bridge of the song. It's a new introduction of a change, new scenario. And the visual I thought was really interesting here. So as he plays,
someday I'm gonna run across across your mind.
So now he's going to a different place. Someday. Now he is looking towards the future. And the image, he starts opening up the shutters in the house, and instead of being all cold and drab looking, the sun is shining. So someday, this is like, if you think about it, he's driving around, he's processing these things, and he comes to the conclusion, someday I'm going to run across your mind. So right now she's all in his head, but he's saying, you're going to think of, we're going to switch places in some sense. I'm going to run across your mind. And then he says,
don't worry, I'll be fine. Gonna be alright.
Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'm going to be all right. So, he's realizing whatever this pain and this hurt that he's experiencing is not the end all be all. He's going to learn from this experience. He's going to move on. He's going to be okay. He's going to be all right. But, kind of turns the tables here on her.
While you're sleeping with your pride, wishing I could hold you tight, I'll be over you and on with my life.
While you're sleeping with your pride, wishing I could hold you tight, I'll be over you and on with my life. And this, I think, is the interesting, really turn in the story here. Because this is the kind of the problem with men and women today is that we have a total lack of cooperation and understanding about what the needs and necessities are of the other one. Because in the natural sense of things, a man has an increase in his attractiveness because it's connected to his wealth, his success, his experience, his ability to deal with new situations. Whereas for the woman, if she doesn't get into a committed, she has her beauty, she has her youth and her beauty, which is helpful for getting the man. But if she doesn't get the man to commit to her, those things eventually start to wane. And both of these things have problems, because if a man realizes that he's on this ascendant path and he takes advantage of the fact that we live in a commitmentless society, he can simply use women for what he desires out of them and then cast them aside and continue to do that, until there's some, if he wants to, if he gets rich and old enough, he can just say, I don't care, that this is just a purely transactional relationship. If that's what's making him happy, he can become like a Hugh Hefner and be this decrepit old man. And women, if you're rich enough, women will still pretend like they actually like things about you other than your money. That's not the case, but if you want to pretend, they will go along with it. Whereas for the woman, she's thinking at a certain point she finds herself in someone else's arms, right? So she's thinking, this is an upgrade. I'm leaving this guy that I had to teach how to tie a tie, and how and he thought he was cool with his guitar and his Notre Dame sweater and all this stuff. So she's been playing house with this guy, and now she's going to get an upgrade. That's what she's thinking. But lo and behold, her pride has, she's sleeping with her pride, wishing that he could hold her tight. Why? Because, if you keep trying to make that calculated maneuver, eventually you end up alone, which is, the image that we see of the woman. And then she's remembering, like, oh, he knew something about, let's presume that actually, this is, I don't know, I guess it's got to be, if you're Keith Urban, you had some girlfriend that wasn't your girlfriend back in the past, and they're all thinking, wow, that guy became a successful musician, and he's like a handsome guy and all this stuff, and they're like, what I really blew it by dumping him in high school or whenever it was, but like so she's looking back, and then he's walking outside and the sun's shining, and she's now sitting on this bed by herself with like she doesn't have the sweater anymore, she's just got like a blanket, because at a certain point, she realizes that was my optimal catch or whatever, that guy there, and I passed on it thinking I could get something better, and it's like, maybe you dump a guy in high school, you dump a guy in college, you think you're gonna get an upgrade, but at a certain point, your ability to attract a better man bottoms out, and then if you didn't play your cards right, if you didn't anticipate or have contentedness with where you were, you end up alone, and this is all that stuff that people are always talking about on Twitter and all the like pearly things, and these people, they're it's sad because they just reduce it all to like facts about this, but there is obviously truth to these things, and the key for for both people is to not take other people for granted, and to be content with what you have, and to agree to stay in a relationship for beyond its beyond what it provides for you. So I think then, so interestingly, I don't know if you can really hear it the way he plays it here.
Take your records, take your freedom.
So
you take your memory.
So now it's kind of like he's returning to present tense, and he's not saying it in the as bitter of a way. It's a little more clear the way that Keith Urban sings it, like the tone of the song shifts. There's a little bit more of a major key change in some of the chords, and so it takes it in this positive thing where he's basically saying, hey, take your records and your freedom. Like, he's not saying it in a bitter way. He's saying, yeah, that's okay. It's okay for you to move on because I'm going to be okay. So, so basically that's what it does. It just plays out the chorus.
I don't need 'em. You take your cap and leave my sweater, cause we've got nothing left to weather. In fact, I feel a whole lot better, but you'll think of me. You take your records.
So there you could hear it, and that, as the ends that chorus, it goes, instead of playing the minor chord, he plays the major. It goes, it's like, yeah, take your cat and sweater, get rid of that stuff. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna start something new. It's gonna be good. So, so that's the song, and then there's some nice guitar playing at the end. So if you want to watch the real video, it's a fun song. It's a good song, Obviously, it's one of these things, you get dumped or whatever. Feels good to listen to music like this, and then hopefully you make your way through that progress that he makes it from. You reconcile with the fact that it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be better. You don't know what it could have been, but one of the things it could have been was really bad, and it's country music. You're in the South. You never know when you're going to go into the Walmart and you see your ex-girlfriend and she's 5'3", 300 pounds. Government's paying for her bags of fudge rounds, and you really dodged a major bullet. So, so it could, you'll be okay. So, yeah, that's the lesson that we can learn from this song, I think. So, all right. Thank you for watching.